first and foremost, I think, and I speak out on this, women are not desirable right now. Everyone's a Kim Kardashian clone. I asked you earlier, what don't men want? And you said promiscuity. Well, that seems about the only thing that's being offered right now. When I open my Instagram and I've got butt cheeks and I'm going, people are like, I don't understand why no one wants to, this woman's been married 4 times. I'm like, well, I can understand it, because even if men think they want it in the short term, when you see a girl, she's half naked, she looks good. Yeah, sure. You probably do want to have sex with her. I bet you're wired that way. You're hardwired that way. But then what happens after you have sex with her and you realize that so did 20 other dudes in the same week? You don't want her.
You nailed it. You absolutely.
What's up, YouTube family? Average Larry back again with another video. Welcome back. Welcome if you're new here. Now, if you watched the last video, you already know what this is about. This is the Andrew Tate, Candace Owens interview, part 2, right? So it was a 3-hour interview. We wanted to pick up just the highlighted portions, the most important parts of it, right? And bring it to you guys with our reaction. So the last video, if you haven't watched it, make sure you check it out after this video. But in this video, we're talking about men, women, what they want in each other, and as well as some of the downfalls of like the transgenderish movement, if you will. So let's go ahead and check that out.
But you have to use your mind to break the trap. And I feel like I've tried to allow my mind to be psyoped into this transgender stuff or this abortion stuff. And even I can't even pretend to buy into it. I can't see how you can reach that level of delusion. And that's where I say, maybe it must be Darwinism, because maybe even with all of my mental capacity, I can't even pretend to be stupid enough to want to go and chop
oh man, he's spitting facts right now.
My genitalia off to then imitate a woman, poorly imitate a woman for the rest of my human years. Ugh. That literally sounds like a form of torture. That sounds like one of the worst existences ever. I feel sorry for anyone who's fallen for that, because they're never going to be what they want to be. Ever. It's just like the worst possible existence. I just can't think of anything possibly worse. And I don't know, maybe there's a Darwinistic element to all of these things. If we can just control the culture and make sure that no future children are psyoped into the death cult, maybe it should all fall apart, because people who truly are that susceptible. Me and my brother have a joke in the house. There's flies and mosquitoes in the house sometimes. Every time one of us kills a fly, we say, you've improved the gene pool. Because the slow one got killed. The fast one, he doesn't get killed.
Right.
So the fast one's going to be here forever.
I'm going to think about that every time I kill a fly.
Every time you kill a fly, you're helping them get quicker. If we didn't kill flies all these millions of years, they would never be so elusive. I don't know. Maybe there's a Darwinistic element. Maybe I'm just trying to feel better about it.
Yeah, maybe they're so evil they've decided we're going to kill off all of the people that are stupid.
I don't know.
And then we'll be left with just strong, independent, but then they can't control.
Whoa. We can't say that now. That sounds a lot like eugenics. Kill off all the people that are stupid. Who decides who's stupid?
The strong, independent people. So then you got a bit of a problem there.
I've got another question for you. How polarized do you think the world is? Do you think there's 2 teams? Do you think the globalists control everything? Do you think there's 3 or 4 teams? What do you think about that?
I think it's probably now divided into 2 teams. Yeah. Because now you have to find more in common. It's like, how crazy are you? We may have been divided into 4, 5, 6, but now it's like, do you believe that children should chop their off, right? Or yes or no. Circle yes or no.
Yeah.
Right?
No.
That's where we're at, because you have to be so far deluded to believe this.
No.
And if you're just in some realm of sanity, we probably have enough in common that we should fight together, right? Just because like they're going after the kids now. It's like, and I think that is really where we got divided into 2 categories, where it's like you're either pro going after the children or you're against going after the children. And it's remarkable how many people are pro letting them go after the children.
Shit is absolutely crazy, man. How many people are like, oh no, they're not going after the kids, they're just letting them be free, letting them find themselves. Like, no, you don't let kids just be free. You teach kids.
It's kind of scary, but that's where we're at. I think it's now pretty much 2 camps. It used to be more.
I think so also.
And then within you, obviously, there's little battles, and to me, they're meaningless.
Yep.
I think maybe I'm saying that because I'm a mom, and now so there's nothing more important to me than protecting children and worrying about what my children are going to face. I'm going to be the crazy mom when my kids are at school. I will be there every single day, looking over every assignment.
Amazing.
Leaning fully into the feminine role.
Amazing.
Of like, yeah. So I do think now it's come down to 2 camps. It's crazy and not crazy.
I wonder what the future of the world is, Candace. I feel like I know everything and I talk like
I know I'm clipping this up, but he's saying Candace's name like Candace. so many times. This is just funny. His accent.
Know everything, but I'm actually starting to think things are getting.
Your dad might have had an idea.
Yeah, I wish he was still around,
Yeah.
but things are starting to get very, very strange. And yeah, and I guess also when we're talking about my libertarianism versus conservatism, I would never allow my child to be aborted ever. I do think it's heinous and disgusting, but I will be honest with you. When I see people trying that hard to kill their kids, I'm kind of like, I'm not gonna lie. Maybe that's the libertarianism in me. Maybe I don't know, but I'm just like, there's got to be a Darwinistic element to some of these things. I don't think they should happen. I would love to stop them all. I believe that all life is precious. I think it's heinous. I don't think that anyone should chop off any of their body parts either. But it does get to a point where it's just like, if you're that desperate to damage your own life and damage yourself, am I the person who's going to fight for you? I don't know.
Well, these women are broken and they're brainwashed. And I like to think that if they hear the right message, something in the same way that I think a lot of broken men heard you say something and it woke something up inside of them.
Very true.
I think that they can land on my
That's
message
fair.
and they can hear it and go, wait a second, that thing that was killed inside of me systematically from the school system and made me think that what it meant to be a woman was to be a whore, because that's kind of the message that's going out right now,
100%.
to be a whore
Preach.
and hate children, which is the opposite of what it means to be a woman.
Agreed.
Then when they hear something and I talk about how aspirational family is and something is, or how much I love being a mother and then I think inside of them something spiritual happens where they go, wait a second, I think that's actually what I am.
Yep.
I've been conditioned to believe I'm this, but actually this is what I am. So I'm more hopeful that the more that we have better pillars in society, that we have people speaking out on the opposite messaging that Hollywood is bringing, on the glory of being a woman, on the beautiful of the yin and the yang, on that submission in a marriage is not a bad thing, actually. It's a beautiful thing.
I agree.
And these messages have been perverted, that we make a difference. And I think we know we're winning.
No, we are
Now
winning.
they want censorship. Now they want the people taken off the internet. Now they want this person to go down. And that they weren't doing that when they were winning. They didn't care. Everybody was allowed to have a platform when Obama was president.
Completely true. We are winning.
Bruh.
And I just think it's an unfortunate of the human condition that people don't really like to learn lessons the easy way. They have to learn them the very hard way. And it's very difficult for us to sometimes sit and tell people the truth, and they just don't want to learn it until it's too late. I like to think that these women who hold up these I lost 10 babies, I killed 10 baby signs will one day wake up and feel very sad about what they've done. And they will definitely.
And it's possible.
Right? And it's possible. And I think even time will show them, God will show them with time. I don't know how I'd talk someone out of the transgender argument. Like, how would you convince someone who is 100% certain they want to mutilate their body to not mutilate their body? That's a scary one to me, because their mind.
And that's also one that you can't really undo, which I think is sad, which is why the suicide rates go up after transitioning, I think, is once you do it, you've committed. But I've sat down with a man that did that, had the full surgery. His name is Walt Heyer, and he's dedicated the rest of his life to waking up other.
Well, that's the most noble thing you can do.
Yeah. He's like, this is what I did. This is how I was convinced. This is how I was brainwashed. This is what happened to me. I was actually just molested when I was a kid. And I just wanted to get rid of my identity in any capacity. So I did the most extreme thing that I could possibly do. I platformed those individuals. And I think that he runs a not-for-profit now, which, Sex Change Regret. There's many people that are like him out there. And yeah, it's going to take God, it's going to take spiritualism, and it's going to take repurposing your entire life after you do something that extreme.
And it's going to take, sorry to interrupt you, Candace, it's going to take people like her and Andrew and me and all of you great people watching this to continue to speak up and speak out against it, because yes, it may make some people uncomfortable to hear these things that go against what they internally think. But if it saves your body, right, and if it saves your life in the long run, then it's worth that momentary, that moment of uncomfortability, right? It's worth you being uncomfortable for moments, even if it's weeks at a time, because there's a bigger picture involved.
Hopefully just us having this
Especially when it comes to children.
conversation prevents people from making those sorts of very serious decisions. And, but this is why YouTube will try to censor this conversation. Right? I mean, that's the whole point, is
my face is on it, you're in trouble. So I'm going to ask you a few more questions if you don't mind.
That's not true now. That they're being a little facetious right there, because if damn near anything that Andrew Tate's face is on, it blows up on YouTube, pretty much.
My face is troubled too, I would just like to state.
Yeah, of course it is.
No.
Why do you think marriage has reduced in the Western world? Why do you think less people are getting married than before?
Conditioning. It's all about social conditioning, and
How Andrew Tate done flip the interview? Now he interviewing Candace.
it's about the feminist messaging. Going back to our conversation about the matriarchy, they've totally conditioned women to believe that marriage is a trap, that you are going to be unhappy, that you are going to be sacrificing your freedom, when in reality, I got more freedom than I ever had when I became married, because I finally became a secure woman. I knew what my purpose in life was when I had children. Everything else is so stupid and meaningless. How could you think you were going to find your purpose at the bottom of a Red Bull vodka at One Oak, Candace?
Wow.
You know what I mean? How could you think
Preach.
that? Well, because that's what Hollywood told me. That's what I saw on MTV. And I thought that was all aspirational. I look at those women, I think they're miserable. I look at these people, women that are still finding their freedom. I say, find the number one feminist that you know and ask yourself a question. Do you think she's happy?
Completely.
Chasing her career. Do you think Chelsea Handler's happy?
Never.
Right? And the answer is no. And so I'm lucky that I got that wake-up call. I'm blessed that I got married. I'm blessed that I have, 3 children now with this one on the way. And the more that I can talk about how happy and fulfilled I am for the first time in my life, right? Not when I was drinking and pretending to be happy, but for the first time I actually am happy. And I got those things by finally realizing that the message that those things were going to constrain me was utterly false and was meant to put me down a path of misery.
And she still has a career. She's still fulfilling herself and chasing, the dreams that she wants. But the most important thing to her is being a good wife and a good mother. There's nothing wrong with that. It actually will give you the most happiness. And then you can find these ancillary things to also increase that level of happiness.
Why do you think men are not getting married? That's women. Do you think men have something to do with it as well?
Same thing. I think, well, first and foremost, I think, and I speak out on this, women are not desirable right now. Everyone's a Kim Kardashian clone. I asked you earlier, what don't men want? And you said promiscuity. Well, that seems about the only thing that's being offered right now. When I open my Instagram and I've got butt cheeks and I'm going, people are like, I don't understand why no one wants to, this woman's been married 4 times. I'm like, well, I can understand it, because even if men think they want it in the short term, when you see a girl, she's half naked, she looks good. Yeah, sure. You probably do want to have sex with her. I bet you're wired that way. You're hardwired that way. But then what happens after you have sex with her and you realize that so did 20 other dudes in the same week? You don't want her.
You nailed it. You absolutely not only nailed it. And this is where we're in such a difficult, it's a race to the bottom between the two genders, right? Yeah. As the women act worse, the men act worse by extension. Yeah. Because if you're going to be moral in an immoral world, you're going to end up wrecked. Right. So it's getting harder and harder. So we have to kind of like fix one of the genders first.
Women aren't desirable right now, as in the Western Hemisphere as a whole. And of course,
finding a wife is hard.
Finding a wife is hard. And it's because women are literally being conditioned to behave like sluts.
Wow, man. I think they both nailed it, man. I think a lot of times you get pushed sexuality, over sexualization, show your body. And like she said, in the short term, that will appeal to a man because we are wired that way. But once we get that nut and our brain starts to function again, you out the door, man. That's not poised for longevity. That's not good for consistency. You're going to start thinking, you're going to start wondering, and you're going to start pushing that away and looking for something a little more modest, a little more wholesome, a little more conservative, if I may. I think these two are doing a great job, though. That they're doing a great service. And I enjoyed it. Well, I must say, I enjoyed the interview, man. I enjoyed that content very much so. I like that dichotomy that they had, very respectful, even on things that they disagree with. They were very respectful of the other person's opinion. That's how interviews are supposed to be, man. I like that. Other than that, man, if you haven't checked out the other video, the other breakdown of the highlights, let's go ahead and watch that one. And if you have, thank you guys for making it this far. I love you guys so much. You are the reason we're still going on this channel. Let's keep going and keep growing. And as always, one love.